they upset the people saying, we ain't gonna be able. But what did the children of Israel, when they got to Jericho, they had to do number what? It was a strong city with a big old wall. And each nation, out of them 12, how many tribes there were? 12 tribes. 2 of them stayed on one side of Jordan, but they went over there to help them fight. Two land was on one side of Jordan, but they went across to help the other nations fight. And the book of Joshua telling by each one of them how they driving them out, the dividing of the land, just like God promised them. I'm going to give you houses you ain't build. I'm going to give you vineyards you ain't plant. Everything he told them. And the book of Joshua cover all of the division and the dividing of the lands to the people of Israel. It's still following order. All right, if y'all get sleepy, put some water on your face. It covered the invasion. It covered the fall. How many of y'all heard Pastor Washington preaching about the battle Ai? What they call them? I think it's pronounced I. It covered that. You'll find that in Joshua. Who in here right now was paying attention during Pastor Washington preaching? Tell me what happened at Ai. Pastor used to preach that all the time. What happened in Ai? Ai was a little small. Look, they had big enemies. They had great big old enemies at times. Jericho was a stronghold. But all they had to do was march. And the wall fell and the city was taken. Now, some of y'all Bible scholars, who in that city was spared? Rahab the harlot. Why? Because she helped the spies. And one of them Israelites married her and she wound up Jesus' great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. Ain't that something? If a man would just believe what God said. That's when it's so important that you get to know this book. Why do people perish? So this should be one of the we're supposed to be more focused on this than Facebook, anything else we do. Because in this contains our life. That's when I'm challenging, brother, I'm challenging you to begin to read. Pick you out for a day. You out for the summer, you ought to roll with it. Amen. Any of you in here, roll with it. I want to know. Pastor Washington had a hunger and a thirst in him. Mother could tell you that, to read this book, to know. When I got saved, I had a hunger and a thirst in me. Now, why is it written about Joshua and the ones that died in the wilderness? Why is that written? That he passed it down to us. For our example. That we will not murmur and complain as they did. Amen. Amen. These things were written. Now, ain't nobody told me about Ai yet. All right. They defeated Israel. And why did they defeat Israel? Israel tried to drive. Y'all know how many of y'all have been confident in something? Say, oh, how many of y'all have played sports and y'all looked at the other team and said, oh, we way bigger, we way taller, we way everything. We could play around with them. That's it. But what happened? Now, their job was, when they got there, to drive out the nations. The nations fled Israel for fear at times. Left their house, left their garden, left their vineyard, just like God promised them. Each nation, Manasseh, you're going to be here. Reuben, you're going to be here. Gad, you're going to be here. Zebulun, you're going to be here. But you got to drive them out. And he told them to utterly drive them out. But what a lot of times they didn't do. Well, I need me a wood chopper. But this little nation, Ai, would take a little time with it. Pastor used to preach about that all the time. They had a brother, he was sinning, right in the middle of the camp. He was sinning right in the middle of the camp. So Joshua saw him just a little small group. He said, hey, they don't need many soldiers. Just go down there and run them off. Went down there and tore Israel up. You know, and when you keep getting tore up and they say, wait a minute, oh, it's something wrong. So they down praying. This buddy having him a good time. In the tent. Sinning while the rest of them praying why we can't do what God told us to do. Why this little bitty nation here. Sin was right in the middle of their tent. Sometimes he told them some nations don't keep none of their stuff. Destroy everything. Now why would he tell them not to keep some people's stuff? What about the things that he didn't want them to keep? What things? Anything like sometimes they could keep the silver and sometimes they couldn't. Some nations were so wicked until God wouldn't want nothing pertaining to their idolatrous life to rub off on Israel. What we can learn from that today? Some things in our midst we have to not do, not because ain't nothing wrong with it. Gold is gold and silver is silver. But because this nation here worshipped and did this, that, and the other, and all that, God said everything they got is cursed. I don't want you to bring back nothing belonging to them. All of this is written in history, and it's written for our learning. So, they conquered the nations. Joshua covered Israel. All right? Catch it from Exodus. You understand? Exodus brought them out. Numbers took them all the way around in the wilderness and all that. Deuteronomy gave the law back to the second generation. Y'all with me? Now Joshua, they in the land and they didn't conquer. Okay, now that they living in the land, it brings us to the next was Judges. Now, who was their leader at first? Moses. Moses died. Then there was Joshua. Okay, now they in the land, there always got to be a leader. God put them under the period of what you call judges. Judges. Now, Moses actually was a judge, but they wasn't settled in the country. Y'all understand what I'm saying? They set up people and a government for the hammer thing. So now Joshua is gone. And when Joshua left, what did the people start doing, y'all? Huh? What did they start doing? They started sinning and turning and losing focus. So God started them with Judges. And the book of Judges cover the leadership of the nation of Israel under judges. Who can name their judge? Mother Washington named the one-woman judge, Deborah. Samson was a judge. Oh, whatever his name is, I can't pronounce it. How many judges was it? Let me look in the thing, I saw it. It was 15. But I know Samson, I can't pronounce Jephthah. Yeah, it was about 50. It was a bunch of them. Tola, Job, whatever their name. But when you read it, you'll know. So that covered the nation of Israel being governed under what? Under judges. Okay? Now, and everybody know the story of Samson. Yeah, I believe everybody that heard it. What electricked him, even young people?